name's Adiescar Chase, and I am a composer for TV and film and other media, and I wrote the soundtrack for Heartstopper, and this is why I'm here doing this interview with SoundsOfSeries. There was a call out for composers. I immediately read all the books that Alice Oseman had written, absolutely fell in love with the story, the characters, and I sent a bunch of music of previous music that I'd composed, and they liked it, so they asked for an interview. And I just remember in this interview just absolutely gushing over the books and just getting so elated about the characters and the particular moments. In season 1, when we see Nick and Charlie's kiss the first time, I'd read that in the comics, and it was like a yay moment. And so we spoke about it and the direction that the music might want to take. And then after that, I went away and I composed 3 sections of music for the first episode. So I went away and I scored one particular scene 3 times. But it was definitely along those lines. And I think emotionally, I just felt like I'd really tapped into the characters. And yeah, I was really, really pleased when they phoned me back and said that they'd like to offer me the job. I was a bit gobsmacked because it was my first big show. And yeah, we just took it from there. Sometimes I get asked, did you write the songs? And I don't write the songs. They were all amazing artists in their own right. The music supervisors and the team, I know that Alice and Patrick have a lot of ideas about the music, and I think that the music supervisors do a fantastic job of curating a number of commercial tracks for the show. So that's nothing to do with me. I'm doing all the kind of original soundtracks specifically for the show. And then other things like, I think the sound designers should get more representation when it comes to a soundtrack and a kind of a TV show or a film. A lot of work goes into the sound design. What other things? Just the boring stuff like delivering music. You have to make sure everything's in the correct format and that you send things for the mix. So when they're mixing the music in with the sound design, which I just spoke about, we deliver the music usually as a stereo track, a full mix of everything. And then you'll do what we call stems. You're exporting music, just the guitars, just the piano. And then also there's the surround sound. So for people watching it in Atmos, we still want it to be Heartstopper. It has to be quintessentially Heartstopper. But at the same time, it's a new chapter. It's a continuation of their story, and they're kids, they're growing up. You go through different emotions. Just growing up in general, things shift and change. And so the music had to reflect that. There's a lot of stuff in the soundtrack that people will remember from the first season, but everything I did, it develops, it grows. I've added new, if it's the same materials, so the same melodies or harmonies, I've added new synth sounds and things like that. And there's also some new songs, new tracks, because there's new experiences they're going through. So everything's developed or new, basically. I think the music is very reflective of how the characters feel in the situations. It's not one of those shows where you could be watching something that isn't really giving anything away, and that's a good thing. It's not giving anything away, but then the music might suggest something different. I don't think that this is that kind of show. This is a very honest, truthful depiction of their lives and the situations they're going through. I really like to tap into the emotions. I'm a very empathetic person, so I can kind of almost experience what they're going through as I see it. But that's, again, what's so joyous about this show, is that I'm just creating music for what I see and what I feel, and I'm hoping that that will help the audience empathize and sympathize with the characters in that same way. I think in the first season, it was the kiss. And when Nick kind of runs after Charlie after the rugby match, those are some good moments, but we called these moments like Heartstopper moments, and you know, that's a format that the show has continued. There are lots of moments in season 2 that you could call Heartstopper moments, and it's so hard to pick a favourite from season 2. There's one particular track where it's very new and it represents Nick and Charlie growing up, basically, and how their relationship develops, and it's a very specific moment to that. I've done a lot of teen drama projects at the moment, which I love, and I would love to do something a bit darker, because I think a lot of people see me as a very happy, you know, bubbly person and a bubbly composer. But yeah, this goes back into my rock influences and my kind of very tortuous, you know, opera music and things, and just, you know, the Cristobal Tapia de Veer soundtracks can be quite dark, and you know, I just love the idea of doing something completely different and delving into something a lot darker. But yeah, you really, it's just any story that hits me emotionally, any story that I feel connected to. If someone came to me with any type of genre of film or TV, but they said, this is the story, this is what I'm telling, and I felt connected to that, I would love to do more things that I really connect to. When you have any goal in life, you have that main goal, and then you need to try and divide it into smaller goals, into practical goals that you can do. Say it's literally just learning another instrument or writing a piece yourself, and then maybe it's applying to a film school or applying to a music school, and then it might be joining organizations that are there for composers. I'm part of the AWFC, which is the Association of Women Film Composers, and they have a great directory and loads of fantastic networking events, just trying to, you know, create a more balanced industry in terms of female and non-binary representation. Doing things like that and just taking those first little steps. You can't just go from zilch and then all the way to, you know, scoring a big blockbuster film, you know? So you've just got to take those little steps, and whatever you do, you need to feel passionate and content and happy with what you're doing. You know, you could be a fantastic composer working on a really big project, but you might really hate that project. You know, that it happens, you know, sometimes where you work on something you don't particularly enjoy. It's not about the success of doing something big, it's about enjoying what you're doing. So I think that's all the advice I would give to other composers, yeah. After I did Heartstopper season 1, I decided, as a lot of composers do, because we're always alone in our studios, I decided I was going to get a dog, because I really wanted a dog. I've always wanted a dog. And so I was planning to get this puppy, and I was thinking what to call the puppy. And I went through lots of different names, which I told my family. And I remember telling my family one of the names could be, you know, Charlie, because Charlie's a nice little dog name, and it's the one of the main characters from Heartstopper. But I wasn't sure. I was still thinking about different names, but I made the mistake of telling my mum, who then told my auntie, or I told my auntie, and she's really into textiles. So she got this little pillow bone, it's like in the shape of a bone, and then she engraved Charlie on it and gave it to me. And I thought, well, I guess that's decided it. I really wanted, you know, to call him Charlie, and now my auntie's made this little bone, so I have a dog called Charlie now, which is funny. I've been shouting Charlie to him for months, and then it came to scoring season 2, and suddenly there's people on TV saying Charlie, and then Charlie's like, huh? So that's been quite funny. Just strap yourselves in, get ready. Yeah, that's all really.